Everyone, welcome back for another episode of Adams for the Love of Movie Picks. This time around, we're going to be talking about the 2023 film The Flash, starring Ezra Miller as The Flash, Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne, Sasha Cale as Kara Zor-El, Michael Shannon as General Zod, Ron Livingston as Henry Allen, Maribel Verdú as Nora Allen, Kurt Kiersey Clemens as Iris West, Jeremy Irons as Alfred Pennyworth, Tamora Morrison as Thomas Curry, and I think that's pretty much the extent of the well-known actors for playing the main characters. There's a few cameo appearances I'll make reference to later, but that, I think, is pretty much the extent of the well-known actors. So basically, The Flash is the comic book story. It's the movie adaptation of the comic book story, The Flashpoint Paradox. Although they did tweak a few things I didn't really like that I'll get into in a minute. But more or less, The Flash is the superhero with the power of super speed, and also the ability to travel back in time using that super speed. So his backstory is that similar to Bruce Wayne, Batman, his mother, instead of both his parents, his mother was murdered as a child. And in this particular, now there's different stories about what happens to his father or what went on with his father, but in this particular universe, his father was the one who was framed or was tried for his mother's murder, even though he was innocent. So in a way, Barry lost both his parents that day. Well, he decides that he is going to use his powers to go back in time and save his mom's life. But in doing so, he basically changes the universe. Everything about it changes. His mom is alive, his dad's innocent, he grew up, had a family, what have you. But basically, metahumans don't exist for the most part. There's no Superman, there's no Aquaman, there's no Wonder Woman. Cyborg is never created. It's a different guy that's playing Batman. Now, the one thing that I did not like, so for the main point of the Flashpoint Paradox is that, now I have to double check the history, but the ones I'm familiar with, Thomas Wayne, Bruce Wayne's father, becomes Batman instead of Bruce Wayne. So Bruce Wayne dies in that alley that night, and Thomas Wayne becomes Batman. Now, I think that, in my opinion, I think that would have made a lot more sense to this movie, considering how old Michael Keaton is, also how different the storyline has become. To have Michael Keaton play Thomas Wayne and still be Batman. I think it would have made a lot more sense to the whole storyline, and also keeping with the more traditional Flashpoint Paradox story. That being said, it was still cool to see Michael Keaton back as Batman. I thought he did a phenomenal job. Of course, they brought back the old bat suit, the old bat car, the Batmobile, and everything about it, which is interesting. And then, of course, you've got, Kara Zor-El instead of Kal-El, or Clark Kent, as she's a Supergirl as opposed to Superman, taking on General Zod when he comes to invade the planet. Or comes to take over the planet, I should say. And I thought she did a pretty good job as Supergirl, the person who plays her. But, for the most part, the story, I think it was a very well done movie. There was definitely some funny points to it. And, at the beginning, basically, they kind of did a continuation of it's kind of like an after the Justice League thing. Like, he's still doing his own Flash stuff, but he's also doing Justice League stuff. Basically, with the exception of Aquaman and Cyborg, you see, Batman and you see Wonder Woman at the beginning of the movie, like Ben Affleck's Batman to start the movie. So it's kind of cool that you're seeing multiple different Batmans in the same movie. multiple different characters playing Batman, I should say, in the same movie. I thought that was kind of cool. Basically, so at one point, Barry determines that, you know, the only way to fix everything is to go back in time and let his mom die, unfortunately. But at one point in doing so, when he ends up basically, when he tries to go, after he goes back in time and he's trying to go back to the present, he ends up getting knocked into a part of his past back when he was 18. You find out later, a future version of himself. And basically at one point, so he meets up with his self of that timeline, of that time period. And at one point, all three of them are together in a Speed Force, like this kind of Speed Force arena, I like to call it. Basically, like so most of the time in the comics and the shows and what have you, when Barry accesses the Speed Force and goes through various points in time, he just kind of goes to that point in time. This one, it's almost set up like a, it's like a file, or like, a computer file of all these different files of memories that he can just access. But it's set up, it looks like an arena. And when they're in the arena, basically they could see the different timelines of the multiverse. And what they did, which I thought was really cool, is they paid homage to different Supermans and Batmans and of course the original Flash, Jay Garrick, which I thought was really cool. Now I don't know if it was actually him or if they just did a CGI thing. I thought that was pretty cool. They showed Christopher Reeves' Superman. They had Adam West's Batman. And then they also had I don't know what the premise of it was. The only thing I can think of is I think at one point I heard some rumblings that he was supposed to play Superman in one of the various Superman movies. They had Nicolas Cage as Superman, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. And then by the end of it, like when he goes back and he fixes it and everything seems to be right, it's not Ben Affleck who's Batman again. It's now George Clooney, which is absolutely hilarious. So you've got basically three different guys playing Bruce Wayne / Batman throughout the movie. I thought it was pretty funny that they were paying homage to all these different guys that have played Batman throughout the history of the Batman movies. But yeah, that being said, it was a highly entertaining movie. Like I said, there was a few things more just because I think it would have made more sense to the movie that I thought they could do. Like I said, the whole Thomas Wayne thing instead of, just having Michael Keaton as an older Bruce Wayne. But I digress. It was still highly entertaining. Highly recommend The Flash if you're a big fan of superhero movies. This is a movie for you to definitely check out because it was really good. So there you are, folks. That's all I have for you this week, and we'll catch you next week for another episode. Take care.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.